Welcome to this second edition of Moments with Mike as we continue our overview in the book of Ecclesiastes. In our first session, we talked a little bit about a broad perspective of this book. And then we narrowed our focus down to Solomon as being its author, descriptively given to us in verse 1 without the specific mention of his name, but seen in the internal evidence of the book in his unrivaled wisdom, his unparalleled wealth, and his unrestrained pursuit of pleasure in whatever form that took. I would really like to suggest to you, while traditional scholarship has assigned this book, along with a few others in the Old Testament, as wisdom books, that this book is really, as it does convey wisdom to be sure, but it's really a book of philosophy. It is Solomon's pursuit of truth. Most of you who are viewing Moments with Mike, like myself, are products of a Western educational system. Most of you would understand that as you were growing up and going through school and experiencing life, you learned that there was primarily two ways, apart from revelation from God, that people perceived truth. Very quickly, for us to have an understanding of this book, we need to think about those two main schools of thought. The first is, if you will, empiricism. The empirical school is simply that which is true is that which is discerned through our senses. It is through what we see, or what we smell, or what we taste, or what we touch, or what we hear. And so that which is truth for us is something that is filtered through the senses that we were given at birth. The other view is the view of rationalism. And while one is about, if you will, the sensory experience, rationalism deals with the mind. And it is what I can come to believe as being true because I am a rational thinker. As many of you who know me well have heard me say, I am a linear sequential thinker. 1 + 1 for me, it equals 2. I tend to think as logically as I can, as rationally as I can, about most of the subjects that come into my life. But when I encountered Jesus Christ and became a believer, I realized that while not discounting the importance of empiricism and without elevating the importance of rationalism, that there is a third way in which men perceive truth, and that is the objective revelation that comes from God himself. Here in the book of Ecclesiastes, we see that the word itself, preacher, is used to tell us that it's the convener of an assembly. It is that individual who calls together a group of people and then begins to share with them that which has been placed upon his heart, that which he has learned, and that which he wants them to know. As you go through this book, there are several words that jump out at us because of the frequency in which they are used. The first one is this, or it's more likely seen to be a phrase, vanity of vanity. 38 times in the translation of Scripture many of us read from, we see that word used. It has the idea of a vapor or a mist or a breath, if you will. It speaks to that which is transient, which is not lasting, but rather fleeting. The second word is this, under the sun. Under the sun is that which speaks to our earthly existence. It is often used to contrast the abode where God dwells with that where you and I live. I would suggest to you, as C.S. Lewis once wrote, that if nothing in this life completely satisfies, perhaps it is evidence that the life that you were created for is not in just this world, that we were created for another world and created for a deeper desire and a deeper revelation of truth which comes from God. The third is this word, profit. That word is used many times, more than 10 times in this particular book, and it's followed by joy and wisdom. So this is a book that's not devoid of wisdom. In fact, the wisdom that it presents is that it is good for us to know that most of what most people chase in life, the pleasures of life, the pursuit of privilege or popularity, the acquisition of possessions, or as I've often called them, the kingdom of thingdom, may bring momentary pleasure and momentary relief, even from some of the struggle and the toil that it took to accumulate them. But they bring no lasting treasure. That, dear ones, can only be found above the earth and in the person of the risen Son of God, Jesus himself. We'll continue with our overview next time on Moments with Mike. God bless you.